Now that is what I call a dirty, muddy bike. So let's wash it. I'll show you how I do it with several easy steps. First, we remove the mud, clean the gears and brakes, then the frame, dry it all off, apply some chain lube and it's ready to go. I'm using a mountain bike today, but the advice in the video applies to road and gravel bikes as well. So let's get washing. Let's start by removing all that mud, and a garden hosepipe is just perfect with different settings to choose from. So work over the frame starting from the top and work your way down to the bottom. Don't forget the wheels, the tyres, suspension if you have it on your bike, and the gears, and get in all the nooks and crannies and keep the hosepipe moving as well. A jet wash is just fine. This is a lower pressure one than a car jet wash and it's more gentle on the bike, and provided you stay a sensible distance from the bike and keep it moving, the bearings in the frame and the wheels and the headset will be just fine. And a jet wash is ideal when the mud is dried on and very stubborn and more powerful than a garden hosepipe. Next, we start washing the bike properly. Use whatever products you want. I'm a real fan of Silka with their 4-step process. I always start by washing the drivetrain and the brakes. So apply this onto the chain, the cassette, the rear mech and the front mech if you have one. Make sure you put plenty on there and then leave it for several minutes to do its magic, and you can see it dripping off there. Don't forget the brakes as well, the brake calipers and the disc brake rotors. Then if it's more stubborn, use a stiff brush to re-agitate the dried on dirt and crud on the chain and cassette, and you can see it just disappearing from the cassette and the chain in front of your eyes. A very satisfying job indeed. Run the chain through a stiff brush to really get into the nooks and crannies of the chain and remove as much as you can, and then rinse off with a garden hose pipe just to get rid of all that excess we don't want. And now for the fun part of washing the bike. Use whatever bike wash you want, get a nice hot bucket of it and a big sponge, and start at the top of the bike with the handlebars, the saddle, and then work your way down to the lower part of the bike. Use different size sponges to get in all the nooks and crannies of the bike. And really take your time here to really get into all the places where mud can hide. I like to use a big soft brush for the wheels and tyres to get rid of all the mud that does build up on this part of the bike, and work your way around the wheels and tyres to make sure they're nice and clean. Personally, I like to use a small wheel stand to hold the bike up so I can get access to both sides very easily. But if you use a garden fence or wall to lean your bike against, don't forget to flip it around and do the other side as well. If you have the luxury of a work stand, which can be expensive but a worthwhile investment, this makes the whole process a lot easier and means you have to bend over and do your back in. There's no right or wrong to how you clean your bike. If you are being really thorough about your bike wash, then using a stand and removing the wheels gives you better access to the inside of the frame and the wheels and cassette as well. But there are different levels of bike washing. A quick weekday wash or your weekend long, thorough, in-depth wash where you remove the wheels and take the bike apart and really take your time and clean it as thoroughly as you can. Once you thoroughly wash your bike, now we can rinse off all the soap suds with a garden hose pipe and just work your way from top to bottom to remove all that dirty water. Now here's a little trick for you. Remove the bike from the stand and gently bounce it up and down on the ground to shake off any excess water. Next, take a nice soft towel and starting on the frame, the handlebars and the seat post, just dry the bike down, removing as much water from the frame as you can. Next, swap your microfiber towel for another one, and then repeat the process on the drivetrain. Just dry that chain as much as you can, and don't forget the rear mech and the front mech as well. Just remove as much excess water as you can. The next step, which is entirely optional, is to apply a graphene or silicone spray coating to the frame. It provides a protective barrier on the bike and keeps it cleaner for longer. So apply it to your cloth and then just wipe over the frame. Don't go onto the brakes and the rotors because you never stop again, but a nice generous coating on the frame, the handlebars, and all those non-moving parts on the bike to make it nice and shiny and glossy, and also protect the frame against mud and water. The final process is to make sure the chain and drivetrain are entirely dry. You can use an air compressor, a leaf blower if you have one, but I prefer to just let it dry naturally, which doesn't take too long. And the final step in the process of washing your bike is, once that chain is thoroughly dry, and it has to be really, really dry, is to apply your favorite lube, a wet lube or a dry lube, to the chain. And to see how you do that, you watch my video on screen now about lubing your chain and what the different options are on the market. So there we go, my very easy step-by-step guide to washing, cleaning, maintaining and lubing your bike. It's not that difficult, is it? It's not rocket science. I'm sure you have your own process which may differ to mine. So let me know how you wash your bike and your preferred products by leaving a comment down below. Hopefully you've learned something from the video, and if you have and appreciate the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button on screen now. But that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again very soon.